One Way Fighting.
Hello, you're free to Neill at One Way Fighting, and today we've got on the podcast with us Jamie, the Haymaker Hay from Haywood. Say that when you're pissed. How you doing, mate? You're all right?
Not bad, Neil. How about yourself, mate? You good?
Keep on ticking, mate, with this virus. That's all you can do, innit? So I've got Jamie on the podcast. So I know Jamie from way back. When I first met Jamie, you were commentating, weren't you? You took time out from fighting at that point, hadn't you?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Well, that kind of just it would have been probably 2012, 13, was it? I can't fully remember, but around that sort of time, yeah, because you were fighting quite a lot at that time, wasn't you? And you had like Clark and the guys there that were fighting as well.
Yeah, get me head kicked in, I think is the term, mate.
It's having a scrap in it, mate. It's the same thing. Yeah, so I was I took a little bit of time out from that point. Yes, I took time out. I mean, I started training way back in, well, seems forever ago really, when I was a lot younger, sort of doing kickboxing, karate, and things like that. And I was a massive sort of fan of like the UFC, and Pride actually was one of my favorite things to watch. And we're trying to find a club somewhere, and yeah, I mean, I'd started out a little bit, but then I had quite a big hiatus of not training. So it was, I had a couple of fights previous to that at the old amateur level, and then had a bit of time out. So yes, when we first met, I was at the time of everyone thought I was just a commentator and didn't realise I actually had a background in martial arts as well myself. So
we discussed that because I'd seen you a couple of months before, and then you weren't fat, you just had a bit of weight on you. And then I'd seen you in
I was fat, mate. I was fat.
You're nice. You can kick my ass now, so I'm not going to say that. But no, you were doing commentary, I think it was in the Barcelona. It was a night that Lee the Butcher Chadwick fought, and I seen you there, and I went, you lost the weight in that. And then exactly what you've just said then to me, you went, I've always fought, because you've done the K1 and stuff. And then the next thing I remember was seeing you on FCC. I think it was your first amateur fight, because you went 2-1 amateur and you're 2-0 pro now. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, go on. Sorry, yeah.
No, I was just going to say, I remember sending you the picture because I was quite far back in the crowd, and there was a picture of you with your arms raised at the end of it, and all the crowd was around it. It was like a backed out shot. I remember sending it to you on Facebook or something afterwards. It was nice.
I've still got that, mate. Yeah, I remember as well after that fight, because that's when I'd sort of gone under Tom Blackledge and started training under there as well at that point, and really sort of got myself together, got my life together. To be fair, I think looking back now, I didn't realise, but yeah, good to talk about today, really. But I didn't realise how much I was suffering with mental health over that period of time. Sort of, like I say, I had a massive passion for football, when I was younger, and I was always training or doing something, and then martial arts came about, and then I really sort of went for a bit of a strange time in my life, and really started to stop training completely. And it was one of those where, looking back at the time, I didn't understand why I didn't want to train, I didn't have the passion for it anymore. And then I started I met Adam Tay and started working with FCC, and that was a great time in my life. But even still then, I still went through quite a lot of bad times in my head and a lot of depression, and it was really, really strange. I never could put my finger on what it was. And I think looking back now, I've got a competitive nature, and I love training, whether it's just any kind of fitness training. And that period where you talk about when we first met, when I was massively overweight and I'd lost all passion for everything in life really at the time. Just like I had nothing I was interested in. It was a really strange time. So yeah, looking back, I think getting back into training full swing, and a few things happened in my life that sort of pushed me that way. And yeah, I do believe everything happens for a reason, and I found the real love for it again. Luckily through the commentating, through working with Ian Butlin, I worked with Ian on as many shows and commentated with him, and he was a legend at the time of he'd been fighting, and really looked up to him, and now he's one of my best friends, and we own a few businesses together. We've got a few other things going on. So it was mad really at the time. But I did go through, like I say, a bit of a shitty time. And when we first met, because I remember commentating on a few of your fights, and I remember being there, sort of, especially for Clark's fights when he was fighting, and the lads from I used to call it the Cobra Kai Centre, didn't I? And you used to wind, we used to wind Clark up.
I didn't like the name, to be honest with you, but
it just allowed me, being a gobshite, pisshead sat watching and commentating, being able to say what I wanted at the time. And yeah, that was one of the things I sort of, Clark hated it, but sort of loved it at the same time. We kind of laughed about it and whatnot. Like I said, the Cobra Kai Centre. I remember him messaging me once actually saying, it's not Cobra Kai, it's the Kai Centre. I'm like, I know I'm not taking the piss. I'm having a laugh. But
as soon as he says that, you just want to do it more, though, don't you?
Oh, I think I did as well, yeah. But no, like I say, it was. So I had the start where I trained with the guys from SBG originally and a few other places like that. And it was then from about 2010 to 2013, I barely trained at all. Really did nothing, went to the odd club, and then about 2014, I started really sort of going, you know what, it's a passion and it's something I'm good at as well. It's like, and that's not, I know I'm good at it. And I've always known I've got the intelligence side of it and the fight IQ.
Yeah,
that term's thrown around quite a lot, but I think I've got that.
I'll touch on that when I go through some of your fights with you, because that is something you do have. But what you were just saying about that bit of depression and that, talking from my personal experience and a lot of people I know in the game, do you have like an addictive personality in terms of, if I'm training, it's all I'm doing? If I'm going out with the lads for a week or whatever, it turns into 6 months. And, that sort of, if I'm eating well for a good while. It doesn't matter what it is. And I find a lot of people in the game have that. And that, if you're doing something positive like the fighting, then you're in a great place. If you decide, like you say, you put the weight on and I'm going out with the lads, I'm going to have a bit of time to myself, it turns into 6 months of just not binging, but just your life's not going the way it wants to. And I've had that myself, mate. I think that's what it is for a lot of people in the game. They get in that game because it's like an addiction.
Absolutely, yeah. The answer, the wholehearted answer to that one is yeah. I massively do. Now, one thing I will say is that the last few years I've massively controlled that, though. As in, I've started to get a good balance. I had my daughter sort of 3.5 years ago, and that massively changed things, just the way I thought about things and the way I did things. So that was a big positive in my life, big change and stuff like that. And obviously my missus and stuff like that, that was all a real positive change. I've been with her nearly 6 years. So all that kind of thing was really sort of helping to come out of it. But then I realised what I needed to do, and it was I think it was finding a balance more than anything. And what I've always done is, like, you're right, I've gone in full in whatever I've done. So whether it's playing football, whether it's, like I say, going on the piss, whether it's, going out with your mates, whatever it is, or training, I've done everything as hard as I can, as fast as I can, and sometimes burnt myself out with it. And I think that was it with training. I burnt myself out a couple of times where I just wasn't enjoying it, and I couldn't understand why. And then when you look into it, it's like, it's because you're doing too much of it, or you're not reflecting on the things in life that you need to do as well. Like you say, family, so important, all that kind of stuff. And I think when I talk about like the depressive states, I don't think it was massive. Like, I wasn't in a deep state of depression. What it was I wasn't happy with certain things in my life. That's the difference. Yeah. I'm not going to sit and say, oh, everything's going wrong. It wasn't that. It was just I couldn't work out what I needed, and I couldn't. I think that was the biggest thing at the time. Fighting was massively something that I needed in my life, and that's been proven for the past sort of 10 years now. That's been a real constant, a real consistent thing that I've had. And that's something I know I can't live without. I have to, whether it's watching fighting, whether it's analysing fighting, whether it's fighting myself. I'm not going to be able to fight forever, but as long as I can, I will. And that's kind of it. But I'm not going to get depressed and go when I have to retire and stop and go, oh, because then now I've brought something into my life, which is the coaching side of it, where I can really enjoy watching others win and watching others fight. And that I actually get more pleasure out of that than I do fighting myself, to be honest with you.
Yeah, my mates used to call me feast or famine. He said it doesn't, whatever it is, it's either a feast or famine. You do it all the way or not. And I think in life it's just picking the right things and not picking the wrong things to go feast or famine with, because you'll end up in a hole.
No, 100%. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that as well. And like I say, it's just I've started to reflect a lot more on things and to work out, if I can brush on this a little bit later on with like we talk about fights more, but the win or learn thing is something I put a status on Facebook not long ago. And really pisses me off when I see this people getting beat in fights and going, oh, well, we'll win or learn. And it's like, well, no. If you read John Kavanagh's book and his reason behind that, it's to actually go away, understand what went wrong, reflect on it, change it where you can, and if you can't, move on from it. Not sit and go, well, I've learned everything there. I got beat up there. Great, I'll learn from that. No, you might not. If you go back and blame everyone else for it and go, well, my cornerman only did this that day and it was his fault, that's not reflecting on what went wrong with you, or what you did wrong, or what you could have done better. You know, sometimes you just get beat off better guys. Let's just be honest,
mate.
So
I've always tried to be honest with myself, but sometimes if you've got problems with your cornerman or something like that, well, you choose your corner.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if you've got problems, we didn't do this in the gym. You're doing that for 8 to 12 weeks prior to a fight. If you're not happy with the way the training's going, it's the cornerman's job to teach you X amounts. It's your job to recognize if you're being taught properly.
Yeah,
you know, there's the chips lie where they may, but you're the one who sets them down. You've got yourself into that. You pick where you train from. I agree wholeheartedly with that. Like,
yeah, they do, and you're right, because I think that a lot of people will take, you know, they'll try and blame others and blame this, that, and the other, and try and find the escape route that suits their argument the best, you know. And I've seen a few people recently I know well that have lost fights and gone away saying that, you know, I'm going to learn from this, I'm going to come back, and it's like, but what are you going to change, and how are you going to change it? Because that's what matters. It doesn't matter you saying it. It's just, they're just words. Writing on Facebook after a loss and putting, thank you everyone, wasn't me in there tonight, blah, blah, blah. That's a load of shit. It's like, you've got to think about the things that you've done wrong or that you need to change, because there's always something you need to change. And whether it's just you're not at that level, if you get beat off someone that's much higher level and you go, do you know what, he's probably just a lot better than me. Fine. But understand the times where things do go wrong and what you can learn from it and what you can actually understand. Anything I've ever lost at in life, I've tried to just go, well, is that my fault? It probably is. You know, let's have a look at a reflection of why and where did that go wrong? Was the preparation wrong? Was my prep wrong? Was my head wrong? Was it something? Especially with fighting, as you know, that's where it is a lot of a head game. And I think that's one thing I've tried to make myself mentally tough the past few years, especially. Like, I'm not saying bulletproof, but I'm saying to the point where I know, like, if I get beat, it will probably be my fault or the guy's just that good. And I have that understanding now, and there's no bullshit behind it. There's no like pretending I'm better than I am. It's just a normal level. Sometimes you do get beat, but just understand why, and that's it really. You know, I got beat in a grapple grapple sub only off a really good lad. I got beat. I knew where I'd gone wrong with it. I went in thinking I'm going to breeze over this. I went in, he was a lot better than I thought he'd be, and I just don't think it was. I don't know. My head wasn't really in it, and I know why from the build up to it, and I worked out why. 2 weeks later, I entered a comp down in London instead. I thought I'll go in that national comp for the grapple industry. Went down there and I had like 9 or 10 bouts in one day, and I won 8 of them. I was happy with that. I lost 2 on points. That was it, and so I walked away pretty happy with it. But thinking that's the reflection that you need to go. Here's how I'm going to change it. I'm going to do it straight away.
Yeah, you've got to have the ability to take your ego out of it to some degree, because when you start making excuses, that's because your ego doesn't want to accept you're not good enough, and you need to be able to just sort of take yourself back. And you know, I mean, that I've lost before, mate. I've had to go back and look at it, and you know, I think in my instance, maybe I shouldn't have been fighting the people I was fighting. I just wasn't at that level yet. So I knew, rather than take another fight like that, you've either got to get back to it or take some time. You know what I mean? It took me ego out of the equation. I could have easily said, oh, this and that went against me. But now, at the end of the day, it just wasn't my time. So I think you're 100% right. I think ego's a lot to do with it, mate. And it's easy to put a status up of the one that every single fighter puts up saying this, that, and the other happened. I mean, you look at Wilder and stuff like that with all this Tyson Fury thing going on about all the different things, the suit, and look, you lost the fight. And
well, that's why he'll never beat Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury's already got him mentally beaten every single way, and now And Tyson won that first fight as well. Let's be honest with you. Let's be honest, he won that first one. He got shafted on that with a draw. The second one stopped him. If they fight again, and the reason they're not fighting again is because they know the Wilder camp know exactly what's going to happen, because Fury knows how to beat him. He's got in his head. But until they accept that, until they can walk away and do what Dillian White did with Povetkin last night, walk away and go, and then I got knocked out because of this, and that won't happen again. And he's got in there last night and put a show on. Yeah. That's the difference between these fighters.
I think Ngannou's a bigger example, because Dillian White was winning that first fight up until he slipped to the outside and caught him with that uppercut. It was a good knockout, but you wouldn't have thought that was going to happen in the first fight. Ngannou looked like he put things together that he didn't have in the first fight. So he's a perfect example. He didn't have that wrestling. And I mean, I've only watched the highlights because I've got the kids here like you lads. I couldn't stay up all that time last night. But you've seen him sprawling down. The first fight, he wasn't even getting his wizard in when he was taking the single leg or nothing like that. I was like, is he even rolling?
He never wrestled. He's only fought for 5 years. And it's that's it. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing what he's done, and it just shows what someone with like serious knockout power can do. But he's gone to extreme couture under the guys there. And, you know, that's the difference. He's gone somewhere that they can really work on stuff. I know he's done some stuff with Usman as well, who's one of the best wrestlers in the world in mixed martial arts. And you've got this. He's done the right things, like you say. That's the difference. He's gone away, and these people. And I will, like I say, the Dillian White one. Yeah, he did only get knocked out by a shot that probably shouldn't have happened. But what I'm saying is, he's walked away, and he's not once gone. Oh, it's because of any factors like Bright. He's not made any excuse up. He's just got knocked out. We'll fight him again. Yeah, and he's come back in and he's done exactly what he said he'd do, and that's the difference. And these people have got this closed mentality of it's never their fault. Well, you know what? You're the victim of life, aren't you? And you always will be, unfortunately. And until they can get past being a victim in life, they'll just be a victim, and that's it. It's sad to say it, but I've got I've had friends that have been like that in the past, and I've come across many people in martial arts that are very, very similar. Like they've got this, chip on the shoulder. If they lose, it's never their fault. And it's like, well, maybe it is sometimes. Maybe it is. That's it.
Yeah. They're always the ones in the gym as well. You'll be going spar. Let's punch as hard as you want to be punched. And next thing you're getting a leg kick off them in the head or something like that. We'll just go like do some tech sparring, and next thing they're trying to chicken you. But
I think, to be fair, I think at your weight you tend to get out a lot more than you do at sort of the lower weights. I think that's always been a bit of a heavyweight mentality. That I think I've always seen the bigger lads trying, because that's a lot of the time they'll have that power behind them, and they'll get one on the chin and go, right, I'm having this, and they'll turn into a real scrap in the gym. And you do see it with the bigger guys, I think, more so than the smaller ones.
Yeah, I had Sean Martin on the other day about 2 weeks ago. And I was saying to him, and he agreed with me, because he's big guy, and he
Sean's big lad, yeah.
Sort of middleweights and welterweights punch harder than heavyweights. I'd rather spar with a heavyweight, because you can't stop them; they're too fast for you. And it's speed and accuracy, power, mate. And when they bingo you, that's what stuns you. I've never been stunned probably by a heavyweight, really, other than when I fought proper in sparring. You know, but
again, though, that kind of solidifies my point a little bit, because I think that's because the light heavyweights know they're faster and sharper usually, so they know they can put it on, and they know they'll also pack that same punch as what a heavyweight does. So I think that's what it is. I think they'll get away with it a bit more, and that's why they turn it on in sparring. I've seen some light heavyweights and like say middles and a bit heavier than that go at each other, and you're thinking, you need to slow it down a bit, boys. Like this, you just you're just kind of not show off, but you're just trying to put it out there to make the guy know I'm here. I'm stood here.
Yeah,
right, and I think that's the difference with the heavier guys.
How hard do you go in your training run up to the fight? Sort of 4 weeks in.
Yeah, I'm reining it back a little bit now, as in regards to full on sort of heavy sparring. The older I've got, the more I've sparred a hell of a lot of rounds over the years, and I've always been quite lucky to sort of stay out of the way of shots, and that's part of my game has always been be elusive, really, and so I've always tried to do that, but it depends who you're sparring with, really. When you've got like people like Ian and Andy Butlin, both phenomenal boxers and strikers, as well as martial art MMA fighters, but their boxing, they'll never come in and try and take your head off. They're actually better to work with than most sort of up and comers, because they're so clever and crafty the way they'll move. Don't get me wrong, you start throwing shots at Andy or Ian, and they'll throw back, and that's what will happen. And unfortunately, in this kind of sport, shit runs downhill, doesn't it? and that's what will happen. You start throwing it at them, and you're going to get it downhill.
Yeah.
And I think so. I'm very lucky with what I've got around me now as a team. We have some really good sort of heavy sparring. We have some very, very good heavy rolling and grappling and wrestling rounds and things like that. So we work. I work harder than I've ever worked for fights now. 100%. I do a lot more. Do a lot more drilling. I do a lot more live rounds than I've ever done.
Your nutrition looks like it's in place, not just in terms of your body shape, but I've seen a few things you put on Facebook and that. How's that going, like, in terms of breaking weight? Because I've seen you say before that you walk around about 76, but you're fighting light at like 70, aren't you?
Yeah, so I walk around about, so the last, I had a little bit of a niggling injury for the past few months, so I've ended up just changing a few things with what I've been training, and I've changed up my diet slightly. But yeah, I've got a very, very good diet most of the time. If I obviously don't ever drink when fights are on, I'll have a few beers outside of camp, and when I've got nothing in the diary for a fight. But at the minute, I'm trying not to at all, because we could just get a fight any time the way things are working. We're holding out for Cage Warriors at the minute, and that's our plan and the hope for the next fight, or at least during the next couple of fights we want to be on Cage Warriors, and that's our plan. But yeah, my diet, I just try and keep very sort of basic. I have a very high protein diet, which tends to work really well with me. I tend to be able to drop and shed weight pretty quickly now. But yeah, I've seemed to have shaped up the past few months. I'll be putting a few before and after pictures on over the next sort of probably month or so, and you'll see the difference where I've gone and what I've come from. And I'm working on sort of really toning my midriff up as well now, and that's kind of what I've been looking at doing the past year, working on that. But yeah, my diet, I just try and keep it on point. I try not to be stupid anymore and just go on these, like I say, silly sort of, even like food benders really, where you're just eating loads of shit and you get stuck in that rut. I don't really eat much sugar now. Cut that out.
Yeah, I've had two. I've got the Diet Pepsi there, mate, just for a bit of caffeine, because the kids have had me up since 4.
Yeah, I drink a lot of coffee now, a hell of a lot of coffee actually. So that's, but we've started, so me and the team, so pretty much there's about 15 of us throughout the England team. We started wearing these Whoop bands. It's on underneath my top here, but it's called a Whoop band. So it's just a fitness tracker, but it's one of the more high-end ones that tracks like your heart rate variability, your resting heart rate, and then obviously your calories, everything that goes with it. But it's really good because you can grapple and spar with it, and it doesn't tend to get affected by that. Where you can't really wear a watch whilst training, doing the stuff that we do. This is what even the chest straps. I've got a chest strap that I don't find great for grappling, because I find it moves a lot and will end up around it. It could be down here.
People like that. That's not.
Yeah, especially if you're getting body locked or anything. And plus, my game these days is I'm very heavy with top pressure, so I'm pressuring myself, my chest all the time, so I'll end up breaking it. So yeah, so we got these, and we've started sort of trialing them the past sort of 3 months. And it's mad working stuff out. Like my heart rate variabilities that of like a 22-year-old, like a 22-year-old athlete. So you working all these little things now like that. I'm thinking, you know what, I'm actually in the best athletic shape and physical shape that I've ever been in my life, due to just a few changes, a few tweaks and changes. And
have you seen that the Game Changer on Netflix?
I have. Yeah.
You employed any of that, have you, or the plant-based diet for the protein, or you just sticking with what?
Not for me, mate. Not for me at all. I think if you want to be vegan, go for it. If you want to be keto, be keto. I think you find a diet that works for you. I don't get me wrong. In fight camps we don't go into so much flexible eating zones where I'm like eating pizza because it's within my calories or whatever. I try to follow sort of with what's within my macros more than anything. And that then therefore keeps your calories down. I've done a lot of reading up like with James Smith, and his books are fantastic, and I've been following his stuff for years. But if you have a look at him on YouTube, the guy's brilliant. And
been watching him recently, mate. He's all right.
He's right. He's right what he's saying. I mean, and I've took that into most of my camps where I'm making sure that my calories are at the right point. for what I'm working out and what I'm training and all that kind of stuff, and working out your NEAT ratios and stuff like that. And I think from what he's kind of been preaching for the past few years, I think he's so spot on. That's why he's probably multimillionaire now from selling some books, and they're really good books. So he's got one called Not a Life Coach, which is again a good read for anyone, and the other one is the Not a Diet book. And it's right, it's not a diet book. It just tells you, habits and how to break the habits or how to get into a habit, and it's very, very good. And what all I've done from that is I've just I sleep better because I go to bed at the right times now, and I've changed a lot of little things like that. And weirdly enough, that's what I found the biggest game changer, as you were saying then. It has been actually just changing my sleep patterns and my eating patterns. So I fast every day, but I don't fast because I think it's any more benefit than some other diets. I think it's just I have an 8-hour window where I eat between 12 and 8 o'clock, and that's it. And I eat within that time, and lo and behold, it's usually under or around about the calories that I want to have that day. So
yeah, I started out doing 8-hour windows. I couldn't do the skip breakfast thing just because of my time, so I was finishing around about 5 o'clock in the evening. And then what I did was I reduced it down to 6, and I got about 4 days into that, and then it was just a bit too much for me with everything I was doing. So I had like a week there where I just fucked it off, and then I'm back down to 8 now. So well,
it's weird because
my life. It changed my life for a good month or two now.
Same, but it's weird because like with the one thing I could never do is I'd try and stick with my calories, but I'd always be hungry, and I'd always and if we were training in the morning, I'd nail a big I'd loads of porridge, a bit of fruit, protein shake, and I'd get to training, and I'd think I needed that. And this was the sort of the falseness of your brain and how it works. It made me think that for years I needed to eat before training. I need to, or I'm going to be unfit, or I'm not going to be able to do the session. Now I can do, any morning sessions that I do on a weekend or whatever, I'll end up, I don't even eat. And sometimes I run before work in the morning, and I don't ever eat. I always do it fasted. But then I don't have the need then to come back and eat straight away either. I've just got past that point of, of actually having the mindset of thinking you need to and you don't. And honestly, I tested this last year. So, when lockdown first happened, it was a great time for everyone I know. But I started, obviously the gym shut, and I had to close my place down, and it was really depressing with stuff. And I'm thinking I need to do something. So I ran every day. So I did April and May. I ran pretty much every single day. I think I did 100 miles in April, and I did 120 miles in May. Now, I don't like running. I hate it. But I thought I'm just going to get into this running. But then I started testing, running at the same time, fasted, and running with food. So having breakfast. And the time difference that of my 5 and 10K runs compared to the with the no breakfast compared to the breakfast was so much better. I was shaving so much time off every single time without eating. Every time I ate before running, I was a lot slower. And I tested this over about a month's period, and I just wanted to see if it was any different, and it was massively different. By eating, I found myself slower.
It's the blood's all absorbed in the gut. You've got to give it 2 to 3 hours before you're training. Because I was like you. Even just doing the weights and stuff, and going when I went through my period where I was just trying to bodybuild type thing in my mid-20s, I'd have to have my protein with me slow burning carbs before, and then I'd have to have my protein with me fast burning a green apple or something after to spike me insulin. Yeah. And I was that was my thing. And now if I've got the kids in the day and I've finished my eating by 5, I'm I haven't eaten in a couple of hours. I'm going to train, and then I'm not going to have my protein within the hour window. I've put on lean mass, and I've been doing it from the house, just doing press ups, a couple of dumbbells, dips bar, just to keep fit. And I've found I'm putting on just as much mass as if I was paying a gym subscription down the road.
Yeah. Well, it becomes a bit of an OCD, doesn't it? And that's the problem. I think it becomes a bit of an obsession, because you're going, if I don't have this, I'm gonna, it's like switching a light on and off 20 times because something's gonna happen to your family or whatever. That's what it is to I think to people who train. Sometimes you get this in your head thinking, if I don't do that, it's like a superstition in a weird way, that you need to do it, or you're gonna feel shit, or you're gonna do this, and then you can actually make yourself feel like that because of a placebo effect. I think you've got to be so careful of how you do stuff. But what I found to relax and chill out. I'll find what works for me, and the past few years I've massively found that what works seems to work, and I stick to it. Not religiously. Sometimes I get up in the morning and think, training today, I'm a bit tired. I'm going to have a bit of food and I'll eat. So I'm not religiously sticking to it, but what I am doing is I'm making sure that it's my choice, and it's not like I'm being forced into it by my head, and it's just my choice to go, do you know what, I'm either going to eat or I'm not. I'm doing it that way, and I think that's massively changed things for me and the way I train. And the way I train has changed over the past sort of 4 years anyway, massively. Yeah.
Well, speaking more about your fights and that then, so if you're on the UK circuit or from the UK and you're interested in MMA, you should really be aware of who Jamie is, or be thereabouts. If you've been to any of the shows, you know, he's one of the biggest personalities in the room. This is for the people watching. If you're from outside the UK and you haven't heard of Jamie, where he's talking about going to Cage Warriors, Jamie's been smashing it up at FCC. Now, you think McGregor was fast doing Aldo. You did 11 seconds and you've got the record there, haven't you? And he's saying, when I think of Jamie, I think of the ground game rolling, loads of subs, because his ground game's through the roof. Being honest with you, mate, watching it, I mean, in comparison to mine anyway. And you went in there, straight elbows, put him against the cage, 11 seconds, done.
Yeah, it's see, the striking something that came natural to me anyway. That was something I'd done before I grappled. So, and when and I can't tell you how much it's come on since working with like Team Quantum and with Ian and Andy and, you know, and Dave Butlin as well, and got some really good training partners and coaches and whatnot. And I've always been decent at striking. I've always been good at moving around, and I started working with a Thai boxing coach as well, Pete Olden. Pete, really good guy, very good Thai boxer, had a few pro fights himself. So I started doing a lot of training with him. So we worked on so many things, and it was my striking's quite natural, I think, and I hit quite hard for a lower weight guy, and I'm not afraid to stand there and have a scrap either. It's been overshadowed, I suppose, by my ground game. I've got a couple of sort of knockouts on my records, amateur and pro, so I've done all right. But I tend to be one of them where I think I shock people when I hit them. I think I do tend to have that shock factor a little bit, or I have had. I don't think I'll have that now moving on, because people have seen some of my fights. So yeah, I can hit people, and I know they're gonna feel it. So, and I'll stand there and have a strike with them. And if I have to go to the ground, that's always, you know, a good plan B to have. But every fight starts on the feet, and you know, we've got some guys at our gym. Sam Keller, he's going pro very soon. He'll be fighting on Almighty very, very soon. But Sam's a 62 kilo fighter at bantamweight, and one of the hardest hitting blokes you'll ever come across. You know, the guy can hit so hard, and that's again from working with the likes of Andy and Ian. You know, these guys have boxed since being a kid, and you know, Andy Butlin boxed against Billy Joe Saunders. You know, he was the first guy to take Billy Joe Saunders a distance. So we've got the pedigree behind us. So when you're working with them guys, you kind of get the confidence in your hands then and go, do you know what, I can do this. I'm all right. And I was looking forward to elbowing people as well, to be fair.
Yeah, mate, there's nothing better.
That was something I was always looking forward to. Yeah, but like I say, I'll continue to shock people with striking. I'll continue to fight our fight and try and push it into my remit. I'll always be a fast finisher. I'll always be fast to attack people and try and get that finish quickly. I mean, you know, you're in there to win the fight. It doesn't matter how quick you win it. Just get in there and win it.
You haven't been to points in MMA, have you? I think you've stopped everyone, haven't you?
Yeah, I've pretty much. Never been the distance, no.
Good way to
I don't intend to. It's weird. It's funny actually. So obviously Ian's one of my best mates, but Ian also in his career, he fought some of the who's who in the UK scene and European scene. Fought for Cage Warriors world title. Fought, you know, he fought the best of the best back in not the early days,
2006, wasn't it? About 2004 to 6, sort of 5 era.
Yeah, I think his last one was about 2009, maybe 10. I don't know, but he'd had a lot of fights and fought the best. But he's also the same, so he never went the distance in any of his fights. So, you know, win, lose or draw, well, not draw, but win or lose, he's just gone in there to take someone out. And if he doesn't and he gets beat, he gets beat. He's not asked. He'd rather go out on his sword. And that's kind of the mentality I've got. It's the mentality that Sam's got. I know, you know, we've made a lot of changes with Sam recently, and we're gonna, you know, you're gonna be super impressed with him, with what this kid can do. And he really is a whiz kid with it, and one of the toughest young lads you'll come across. So things like that for me, it's like I've got it around me. We've got the guys coming through that have got very similar mentalities to us. We try to not make our gym into a cult like I see so many times, and I've seen and hated over the years these gym cults that are like, you've got to be in the clique or you've got to be in this. We don't have that. We genuinely when I created my gym and we opened I opened Manchester, Ian opened Huddersfield, and we had the Quantum gym as well. We made a massive point of saying, look, if anyone comes in this gym that wants to be not an asshole and like a little bit of a cult leader, they're out, and that's it. And we'll always be like that. We will not have them kind of people in the gym. It's just it becomes very bullyish. It becomes, and you've seen it yourself, and it's awful to say, because you go to a martial arts gym to get away from, a lot of people go to gyms to get away from the bullying or the being excluded in life, and I've seen it too many times, and it's something that I make a massive point of, that we'll never have that. But that creates a team mentality that we've got, and everyone has a really good laugh. There's a lot of piss taking, as there should be. Every week someone will be the next person on the chopping board to get a load of shit off the rest of them, because it's just a laugh. We have a good laugh, and it is a very good sort of back and forth banter. No one's safe. Me and Ian get as much shit as what everyone else gets in the team, and I think that's how it should be. You've got to be part of it with the lads and that, and we're trying to build something really special with it. And like I say, I'm very lucky because of the way we fight and the way I fight. It just matches into some of the guys that we're bringing through. And like I say, I've worked with some good guys over the years, but there's none better than what I'm working with now, 100%.
Yeah. In terms of the Cage Warriors, what are they actually talking to you at the minute, or are you looking maybe in a fight or two, or what you're doing now is enough for them?
We was having discussions with them last year, actually. So I know we'd have a discussion with like Ian Dean at some point over potential of me getting on there, and yeah, that's what we want. That's what we're looking at. So yeah, we'll be watching this space, and we'll be on there soon enough. I'd obviously happily fight on FCC again. Got a lot of respect for Adam, and
Adam Tay's a lovely
Tay family. Yeah, got a lot of respect for Adam and for what he's done for me in the sport. So yeah, I'd happily fight for Adam again, and hopefully he'll have something up soon. I know the Cage Warriors guys, they're inundated at the minute with fighters wanting to fight. They've got a lot of guys on contract. So as soon as we get through this, like I say, that's the plan. And eventually look for potentially like M1 or something along them lines. Just something, I want to be on the big shows. So I've not got loads of time left in the sport for active fighting. I think grappling I will have. I'll grapple till I'm dead. But
yeah.
I think that's one of the sports you kind of get away with because of the slightly less impact on your body, not just in the actual grappling tournaments, but just the lead up to it. And it's a nice one where you can actually go up a weight, and you can be at your natural walk around weight. I like that. I enjoy that more than having to do the cuts and stuff. So I think, like I say, Cage Warriors is a definite plan for us. I'd love to get on that platform, and I think Ian Dean is the best matchmaker, bar none, and I'd love to be part of that. And and I'd love to be thrown on there. Yeah.
It's a big thing, the matchmaking, because there's so many mismatches around the country. You've got to have a good one. But
you can watch that show. You can watch a Cage Warriors show, and every fight is good. And it's very rare when you see a boring fight on Cage Warriors. Very, very rare. And they seem to stay away from the human blankets and people like that. They tend to go for more the guys who want it, and the guys who want that world title to get to the next level. And that's what I love about it. I think they've just got such a good platform for everyone in the UK and Europe. And I think America now, they've got the license for America, I believe, to do a couple of shows over there as well. So I'd love to be part of that. Yeah,
that would be good, mate.
Yeah, we've got a plan to travel the world with what we do, and I've been lucky so far. Even during lockdown, I've got contracted with FEN, so I'm working with them at the minute for fight exclusive night, which is over in Poland, big show over there, similar sort of level to like KSW. So I'm now the commentator for them. So I got flown out there end of last year. Even with all the COVID stuff going on, they managed to work it out so I can get out there, and it was brilliant. It was really good to see that kind of show. But they're the shows that I want to have on, and FCC has been fantastic, and hopefully Adam can continue doing what he's doing there. And
yeah, I was just going to touch on before, but I didn't want to stop you because you're more interested than me. Adam's show, I have to say, is, considering it's maybe not, as big as Cage Warriors and stuff, the professionalism involved in that show, what is provided for the fighters backstage, all the little bits put together, it was one of the best shows I've been and done. I have to say that I'd love to have Adam on here actually at one point, but maybe when I've got going a bit more. But yeah, his show was excellent, and all the fights again, good matchmaking on the fights, all exciting. You've had people like Kay Mooser and stuff like that on it in the past, and that you see some potential up and comers like yourself, and I can't say enough about him. In terms of the Cage Warriors, though, when you get on that, Jay, you're gonna have you, Paddy, Jack Cartwright. It's starting to pack up with the Northerners in terms of people who are up there. I mean, Liverpool and sort of the Manchester area at the minute are putting out the fighters, really. That Jack Cartwright's looking decent for bantamweight. Paddy the Baddy, he's potentially off to the UFC now. And you wonder what the South are doing. I mean, the North, some of the gyms up here, Cabon and stuff like that. You got your gyms, Rio, you got Ian Butler and that. It's really taken hold. You get quite a few around the Midlands as well. Did anyone that you reckon over the ones I mentioned that we should be watching out for potential going forward UFC?
Yeah, I think there's quite a few. I think Jack Cartwright will be there pretty soon. I don't know whether this disqualification decision, what happened last week, which was right, by the way, he was ridiculous. The guy throwing the headbutts over and over again, just stupidity, really. But that fight might happen again. If I was Jack, I'd want to now go to the UFC.
Yeah,
I think now's the right time for him to go and whatnot. Hopefully he'll be able to make that choice and that choice be given to him. So he can get over there. Paddy 100% needs to go to the UFC. He's one of the best grapplers I've ever watched, and also he's a great fighter, and he's a good guy as well. I really like Paddy, and I had one of his teammates actually on our TV show last week, Molly McCann. So Molly was on with us, and she's just brilliant as well. So I think, like you say, I think you're right. I think the North, we've been up and coming now for a good few years, and I think the likes of the FCCs and shows like that, and Northwest Academy for Cage Warriors who I work with as well, with Paul Reed, I think, and Shinobi, and all. We've done well in these shows, and people always say, you got a few good ones down south like Shock and North, really good, good one. But I think the Northern shows have always been slightly better anyway. I think the better talent tends to come out of the north of England for me. I mean, I'm biased with that, but I do genuinely think that. I think the Birmingham upwards is some good guys over there. Leon Edwards, Jim, and the guys what they're doing over there. I mean, they're on another level.
You got Ross around Stoke as well. Yeah,
you got Ross. Yeah, you got some really good sort of gyms building up. Cal Prince. He got Manchester top team now, so. We're hopeful they're going to be doing some bits with these guys and whatnot. And you've got to get on with each other, and there's plenty to go around. And if you're in this sport as a gym owner or a coach, and you're going to cry about someone opening a gym near you, then you're just a knobhead, because at the end of the day, not everyone's for you, and not everyone's for that gym. So you'll find your niche and what people are enjoying at your gym. They might not enjoy at that gym, and there's room for everyone, is what I'm saying, to get people in. All that matters is we expand the sport more and more, and we keep getting it out there, rather than fighting against local gyms and crying about things. Let's work together. So that's what we tend to do. We've been working with Steve Henshaw's gym, great grappling coach himself, not too far from us, but he's been working with us and our guys, and Deck Williams. We've got really good alliances around us, and I think that's a big part of it. And I think the difference is in the North. I think everyone's quite happy to do that and happy to work with each other and go, you've got a bantamweight, like Carl's got some good bantamweights. We've got Sam. Can we bring Sam over? Carl's like, yeah, no problem, bring him across. So that's the relationships that I think you need and want, and that's showing in what we're producing fighter wise. Lerone Murphy being one of them. What Carl and the guys have done with Lerone and Kane and whatnot. It's amazing. The guy's he's in the UFC. I think he's undefeated in the UFC now. He's doing really well, and that's because he's been able to go about and not have to worry about politics and gym issues. He's been able to train where he wants. He's been training with the guys like Jordan Barton and people like that. I think that's a big part of it. Where the southern gyms I don't see as much as that, or that happen as much. And I think you're right. I think the Cage Warriors especially are getting some very, very good northern fighters now, and It was probably early 2000s, sort of 2010 time. It was probably heavily South or Irish fighters, very much.
Yeah.
Where now we're getting a lot more Northern. So yeah, and I think Liverpool and Manchester are at the heart of that.
Yeah, something in the water there, lads.
We're very similar people, aren't we, mate? I think our mentalities are very, very similar. Even though we have the banter and the piss take of Scousers and Manx, but I do actually think the Scousers and Manx are so similar, just in the mentality, the way we do stuff, the way we are. It's so similar. It really is. Same joke, same banter, same level, really. And you can see that with the fighters that we're producing and what we're bringing through. And Liverpool have had their sort of surge over the past few years with Molly, Darren Till, had people like that, Chris Fishgold. We're now having it with the likes of Lerone, people like that. And a few years' time, I'm telling you now, Sam Kelly will be one of those guys that we'll have in the UFC as well.
Yeah, I've got a mate there who's done a bit of training with Chris Fishgold lately, and he just said the level of what he was doing and the level of, because he was doing like sort of privates. He's on another fucking level. Like he's
good.
He's just mustard. Like got a lot of time for him. What I was going to say to you as well. So this is more just offbeat, because I'll touch on your MMA on Cage in a minute as well. So you went to Siddlemore.
I did, yeah.
So we might have crossed paths at some point, because I used to play for the school volleyball team at Sacred Heart, and I was researching some stuff. And Siddlemore and Sacred Heart were like the two top in the country. It was always us sort of against each other. And I've been at Siddlemore for about like 10, 15 times, going playing back and forth, and they did like the Northwest and stuff like that. So you've got that background coming from a sports college as well, like.
Yeah, so we was actually my school was the first sports college in the UK. We was the first ever one. We were sponsored by JD Sports. They brought in it was like a multi-million-pound deal that they made with them. They had like you've probably been there. I mean, back in the day, they're all the same now. I know schools, but it was a hell of a facility. We had like bleachers, and it was very Americanized, and they brought it in. So yeah, I mean. I played a good level of sports all the way through school, really. And I did play volleyball as well at one point, so we probably did cross paths.
Yeah. Mate, the reason I bring it up is we were in a sports academy or not, but that was all I'd done. I'd like play basketball at high level, football to a good Sunday league level, and all that. By the time I'd sort of started, I was just doing the weights and that. This was the next obvious thing for me. I'd always done some boxing and stuff like that, and I'd always do 6 months of Thai here, 6 months off, whatever. And that was like the ultimate leap in. Do you reckon they should be getting it into the schools now, at least like the collegiate wrestling or the jiu-jitsu or something?
100%, mate. And that's one thing that we're actually rallying for in a minute to try, and we're working with potentially a few local councils on this, but it doesn't seem to be going anywhere at the minute on the wrestling and on the jiu-jitsu especially. I mean, I think it should be offered to every school to be able to offer a high level martial arts anyway, and they've never really done it, but yeah, I think it should. I think you look at the difference for why America's so much better than us in the early stage of MMA. It's because they had the wrestling, and we never had that, and we're getting bits now, and we are getting little bits, but we're so far behind it. We need it in school. You need it from, you look at the new breed of MMA guys coming through, or the new breed of jiu-jitsu guys that are coming through, Tyrese Cunliffe being one of those, that he's only 17, and the kid is like, he's an absolute wizard, but he's been so lucky to do it from being a really young age and actually grow up with it. We never had that. I mean, I don't remember a jiu-jitsu gym when I was a kid. I don't remember anyone. I think most of the high-level black belts in the UK now, when I was probably leaving school, was only just getting blue belts and purple belts. So that just shows the level we're at. We're very lucky to have very high-level black belts all across the country. Now, to transition that into schools and have them, train from being 10, 12-year-old, whatever it'll be, to coming to the end of it. The way the sports academy worked for us with school, it was so heavily concentrated on the athletes. And I do put that down to probably why I am such an athlete with my training and the way I do things, because my mentality was always there for being a kid. It was like sports was everything. Like, you're good at sports, you'll be good at other things in life. And I do think that transitions across, really do. And
100%.
Yeah, it's a strange one, but I think the school itself, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't a great school as in for certain reasons, but for the sporting reasons was just phenomenal. I'm so pleased that I went there for that particular part of my life, because it taught me a lot of things, and like just your mentality. The one thing that I can't stand with kids now is this mentality that they've got where losing's okay. Losing's not okay. Winning you should be taught to win at anything you do. And I think we've got this mentality of like all these participation medals and all this kind of stuff. Now I get there's somewhere for that. There's a need for certain children that do need that, and need that pat on the back to to taking part thing. But also what that's took away from, I think, and it really pisses me off, is we took away the prestige of winning and what winning means. And I hate that, because you should be proud to be the winner. You should be proud to be the champion of something. Whether it's whether you won it. The egg and spoon race, good, you won it. Be proud that you won that. And I think like all 10 participants did well there. There's no winner here. No, there is a winner. There's always a winner, and that's what I think we need to build into people still, because we are still a nation of winners, and it annoys me when people talk about that.
I mean, even what I'm going to say now, because of the way people are, I'm thinking to myself, I've got to word this properly without offending people. That's the point that it's got to. But I always remember when I was working, I was doing a set of interviews, and you always get the don't judge a book by its cover, but you also have, on the other hand, first impressions. And where you're saying that sports background feeds into you, it's almost like the army, where they drill you, your appearance, your everything, your physical appearance. Like I've been like you, I've gone through a stage where I wasn't just, I was racked, I just had a kid, I wasn't dressed, I wasn't maybe shaved the right way. And like people notice it and treat you different. And when you're saying that level of winners, it's just, you need to realize your actions have consequences, and that there are winners out there. If you're not putting these certain things into place throughout life, then you're not going to have the desired results. And people are mollycoddled at an early age. Sport should be enforced in schools to make you realise you haven't done this training, you're not going to win. You don't dress yourself properly, you mightn't get that interview. I just think it transfers to life so much. And people are just sort of like, well, you can't just do that because I haven't turned up. I might be a bit chubby, or I might be this. But whether it's conscious or not, subconsciously, I might be thinking, you can't get yourself fucking dressed for an interview properly. Or you can't even control how much you eat. Why am I going to give you control of a couple of accounts at my business?
It's true. That's I think it is. And I think that's what's built into you. But I think winning should be built into you. And like I say, I'm not. But okay, I don't like losing, but I don't think anyone should like losing. But if you lose, you lose. That's fine. People need to understand that losing's okay, because he's got to be a winner. But make yourself be that winner, or push towards being a winner. If you don't, then you've not done everything that you can do to be the best you. And I think that's the difference. I think we're taking it away from kids now, like telling them everything's okay when it's not. And I think you've got to make it. We want the Paddy Pimblets of the world who are Cage Warriors world champs, and I want people to look up to them, because why not? Like, you need to look up to them guys to know where you want to be. And I think what's really separating the real champions and the real winners now is that desire. But I think that's driven from parents more now rather than schools, and that's a problem. I think this school mentality of just, better luck next time. It's like, well, yeah, but how are they going to get it next time? Again, we go back to reflection. They don't care about that side of it. They care about the everyone's happy, no one's offended. It's like, well, no, people should be offended. If you don't be offended, be offended. Who cares? And that's how I look at it. And I see myself as a pretty straight up person. I'll have a laugh as a best person. I won't be told what to do with certain things. But I think one thing that I would always push on anyone that I know is be a winner. Try and be as good as you can be at something. And that's it. And that's the only way you'll become a winner in life. I really do. Yeah.
Speaking of winning, mate, how's MMA Uncaged? How's it going? You just said
really. Well, yeah. So we had. So we just filmed actually this week. Went out live. So we've been working with Adam Robinson, the owner of Share Fight, who you'll have seen at all the FCC shows, and hell of a producer. So he started working with us, with myself and Ian, and the Uncaged team. So me, Andy Button and Ian obviously own the Uncaged magazine side now, so we've been working on that, but making it more of a TV show than anything else. Last year we got a deal to work on Sky. That's still in the background, but we've had the issue with COVID and being able to produce it in the studio and all the other stuff that's gone with it. So we've had this past year we've been working on something, and we've been working with a team over at Clash TV, which is a big MMA app. So if you download Clash TV, it's on Apple. I don't think you get it on Samsungs if you're a weirdo and got a Samsung, but anyone that's got Apple, you can get this Clash TV anyway. You've got a Samsung, haven't you, mate?
Even worse, I don't want Hawaii. I'm like some Chinese phone.
Right. Well, if you got an Android, don't listen to this part of the conversation. But no, but if you can get on Clash TV with any Apple device, so you can download that. We're also going out live in America with Fubu Sports, and so that's going to be they've got more viewers than the UFC Fight Pass, so it's going to be pretty big for us. So yeah, so we had our first proper one last week, and it had like really rave reviews. So we had Molly McCann, and obviously UFC veteran and Cage Warriors world champion as well. We got Gavin Hughes on, who was fought for the EFC world title. He's now a Bellator fighter. And we had Danny Mitchell as well, so a high-level black belt, one of the UK's sort of real elites, and we had him on. So we had three really good people on to start with. So yeah, it's going to go from there. Really, we've got some other guys that we're lining up at the minute. I can't really go into detail on, but yeah, we've got some really good sort of, not just in the UK based either. So some American, we're looking at some American fighters and things like that as well. So hopefully we'll get somewhere with it. And yeah, it's good because we kind of we've made it a bit more of like I don't know, like a bit more of soccer AM style.
Yeah, a bit of banter and that.
Yeah, a lot rather than just like interviewing and not having the fun side of it. We're trying to have the fun and the laugh, as well as genuinely talking about things that we're passionate about with the fighting side of things. And yeah, I think it's something that we've hit something that I think is good because of the way me and Ian work together. MMA's ant and deck, as we've been called a few times. But we don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know which one's ant and deck, which one's deck either. So
you're the one who crashed the car with his mummy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I think Ian's been a bigger idiot than me in the past, so it could be any of us. But no, I think we've got something special. I think the bond that me and him have got and the way we come across on TV, I think it looks well. So hopefully it picks up, and we seem to have a good following, and I seem to have not pissed too many people off in the sport so far, and hopefully I continue to do all right in it, and
just keep that mix.
Whether it's the Uncaged.
Keep that mix of good content and having a laugh, because like myself doing this, I mean, I'm nowhere near the level of what you're doing, but like if I've had a couple of serious podcasts, I'll just invite someone for the gym on. Like Thursday night I did one with Josh Doyle, a young kid who used to fight.
Oh yeah, I remember Josh. Yeah,
it was just me and him talking about me opening up the gym on New Year's Eve, just getting pissed and having a little kumite on, like, just talking shit from the gym that no one particularly wants to watch, but just a little bit of comic relief. Mate, just keep that. You've got the knowledge, everybody in the game. Good luck to you. If you want to put any of the links, if you send them over to me, what I'll do is I'll have to wrap the podcast up here now because I've got Adam Lind on next doing something about Sambo.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I'll put all the links below. I'll put links to your fights from YouTube for people to check it out. See the guy before Cage Warriors. And it's been a pleasure, mate. If you ever get the chance again, if you're not too busy with all your enterprises, I'll gladly have you back on. And Ian Butland's gym's out in Huddersfield, yeah? Yeah,
so Ian's over in Huddersfield. So he works over that way. I've got my gym in Manchester. So we're just moving towards Radcliffe, actually, when we reopen again. And then we've got our other gym up in Halifax in Calderdale. And then me and Ian run the Team England. So we're looking at opening a couple more. So we're looking at one in the Lakes at the minute and a few other places. So yeah, we've got a few things coming for the gym, and hopefully it'll be, like I say, not too far off when we can start opening stuff and start like really sort of pushing things again. And the rest comes with it then, doesn't it? And people can start getting the mental health back on track and start training again. And that's one thing I think people have missed. So hopefully it won't be long off, mate. I do want to give one big shout out to M24 CBD. By the way, massive part of our gym and what we do, and I think M24 have been The stuff that they do is fantastic as well. So have a look at them as well. M24 CBD.
Yeah. What are the benefits with that? Have you been using it? Have you?
I've been using it now for over 18 months. Got involved with one of my fights, and yeah, he's they produce the best stuff. So they've got like Shilajit, which is like a real booster in the morning. It's like a really high end sort of, like having a few coffees, but you get a good boost. You get loads of energy from it. So that, and then you've got your CBD, the paste, and also as well used a muscle rub. Got quite a bad injury on the leg not too long ago, and I hammered it with that, and it seemed to recover pretty damn quick, a lot quicker than I thought it would do. So yeah, have a look at them. They're really, really good. Help sleep, anxiety, all sorts of other stuff, and they've been a massive part of sponsorship for me. So yeah.
Yeah. Mate, you want to send any links over? It's going to take me a day to put this on, so I'll put them underneath. Make sure you check them out, guys. Again, make sure you like and subscribe me. Don't just do all this stuff. And yeah, absolutely. Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
Neill, it's been great, mate. Thank you. Thanks so much for giving a shout to jump on. Like I say, he's been one of the original guys that I met a long time ago, and we've always got on very well. So I really hope everything goes well for you, and we'll share any of your stuff as well. So.
Yeah, mate, and I'll see you for the beer next time I'm up in the area.
Definitely, mate, 100%.
Go on, mate. Nice one. See you later, guys.
Cheers, Neill.